Okay.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to wait about a minute or two just to give people time to log on. Melissa, do you think it's time to start?
I'm just looking down the list of attendees to see if we've got all of our students on. As you're signing in, students, if you can please update your name on the screen so we can make sure all of our honorees are here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
It does appear all of our students are part of the webinar, so we can go ahead and begin.
Terrific. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you tonight to the 2021 Virtual Making Change Award reception. This event is an annual tradition in our city, and today marks our 31st year. This ceremony celebrates the efforts of our youth and affirms the important roles our teachers, parents, and the community play in teaching students how to constructively express their views and opinions. Your participation tonight is part of that effort and part of the affirmation. Thank you all for being with us today. The City of Claremont would like to thank the school district for their longtime partnership and support of this contest. City staff would especially like to thank Interim Superintendent Julie Olesnovich and UCSD Educational Services Administrative Secretary Pamela Kling-Trier for their willingness to take on the challenges of completely reformatting the judging process to be 100% electronic this year. Julie and Pam worked to completely recreate the submission and judging process, organized all of the submissions, and managed the electronic judging. It was a huge undertaking, and the contest would not have been possible this year without all of their hard work and help. We would also like to thank UCSD for once again matching the city's contribution towards the $100 prizes that each individual winner will be awarded. The city would like to thank all of our judges for the time and energy you put into judging this year under totally new electronic format. This includes community members, members of the Community and Human Services Commission, and the UCSD faculty and staff who dedicated their time to read and judge all of our entries. Now, I would like to share a few words on behalf of the City Council. My fellow council members, Mayor Pro Tem Jed Lieno, Council Member Corey Kalaikai, Council Member Sal Medina, Council Member Ed Reese, and I, Jennifer Stark, would like to thank the community members on this call for showing your support for such a special event. It never ceases to amaze me how committed our great community is to promote such a noteworthy event. Working together to encourage our youth to be involved and to research these special individuals ensures that their trials and tribulations will never be forgotten. Most importantly, it gives our youth an opportunity to discover positive role models. This event is a testament to our community and the culture we are continuously cultivating. Congratulations to all of our winners. And again, thank you all for volunteering and for participating. Now, I would like to invite our city manager, Adam Peary, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Stark. Good evening. I'm Adam Perry, the City of Claremont's City Manager. I'd like to just take a few minutes to thank and congratulate all of the students who participated in this year's Making Change contest. It's really very encouraging to see young people take an active role in talking about issues like diversity, inclusion, equality, and justice. I had the fortunate opportunity to see all of the winning entries, and seeing the artwork and reading the essays really gave me a huge sense of pride in our community. The winning contest entries show how all of you are carrying on the excellent examples of the activists many of you talked about in your essays. Seeing you advocating for equality and justice makes me feel very secure that our community's future is bright, and that these ideals that we should be striving for will become a reality one day because of young people like yourselves. So congratulations on all of your efforts, and keep working hard to make Claremont and the world a better place for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peary. Now I would like to invite the Claremont Unified School Board President, Nancy Trezor Osgood, to add a few words.
Thank you very much, Mayor Stark. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight on behalf of the Claremont Unified School District Board of Education, Vice President Stephen Lanusa, Clerk Kathy Archer, and board members Bob Fass and Dave Niemer. As board members, we are incredibly proud of you students, and we're excited to be sharing this celebration with you tonight and offer our utmost congratulations. I would like to thank the City of Claremont and the City Council members for co-sponsoring this program with us. I also want to thank our parents, guardians, and other family members for their support this past year. You have been such important partners in your students' education, and we deeply appreciate you. I would like to recognize and thank our outstanding teachers and staff members who have been supporting our students throughout this pandemic. This has been an extraordinary year, not only for the City of Claremont, but for our country and our world. And the recent landing on Mars has enabled us to broaden our view beyond the Earth to other planets. The people our students researched for this contest were also influenced by extraordinary life events. Those experiences shaped their lives and inspired change. We all are the beneficiaries of their work. My fervent hope is that each of you will be lifelong learners. I hope you will continue to be curious and ask questions. I hope you will be kind and share your love with others. And to our students, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and insights with us. We have so much to learn from you. Each of you are a guiding light for making change in our world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Trezor Osgood. That was inspiring. Finally, I would like to invite the Claremont Unified School District Interim Superintendent, Dr. Julie Olesnovich, to say a few words.
Thank you. I'm Julie Olesnovich, the interim superintendent for Claremont Unified School District. Welcome, everybody. First, I'd like to thank the city for your partnership in continuing this event. Thank you to all of the staff that helped us make this happen, both city and district staff. And thank you to the teachers who encourage their students to participate year after year. Thanks to our Board of Education, who is all here with us tonight, Board President Nancy Trezor Osgood, Vice President Mr. Stephen Lanusa, Clerk Mrs. Kathy Archer, and Board Member Mr. Bob Fass and Mr. Dave Niemer. And most importantly, I just would really like to thank our students for participating. This is such an important topic, and I can honestly say I learned about a few new folks that have made change in our world just through this contest. You make us proud, and you will be the change in our world that makes it a better place. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you.
Thank you. Now, I am proud to announce our contest winners. Entries were judged on originality, presentation, how well they demonstrated an understanding of human rights and equality, and how well they incorporated their personal insight or experience. All of our winners received certificates of recognition from both the city and CUSD. Our first set of students that we would like to recognize tonight are the group category winners. Group category winners. First up, we have our kindergarten through second grade group category. The winner for this category is Noelle Lopez from Oakmont Outdoor School. Noelle has prepared a video with her thoughts on her project, and she will now share with us now.
Hi, my name is Noelle Lopez, and I cut out felt and painted in paper flowers and felt and paint and paper flowers.
And what does it say? It's from her book,
One
right?
child, one teacher, one book, and one pen continues to work.
And why did you choose Malala?
Because she stood for
Other girls? Because they couldn't, what were they not letting them do?
go to school. They didn't allow them to go to school.
So what she did helped them go to school, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So did that change the world? Yeah. You excited that you won?
Thank you so much. In case you had any trouble hearing what wonderful Noelle said, Noelle's mom wrote this for us. My name is Noelle Lopez. I chose Malala because she stood up for other girls. I made my project with paint and pencil and crayon and felt because one child, one teacher, one book, and a pen can change the world. I love that part. Thank you, and congratulations again, Noelle. Next, we have our 7th through 8th grade group category. If our winners could please press the raise hand button at this time. The winners for this category are Emma DeWeese, Alana McAllister, and Caroline Warren, 7th graders from El Roble Intermediate School. Please tell us a little bit about your project.
We did our Making Change project on Marielle Franco. She was a Brazilian activist and politician that fought for equality, including women's rights and LGBTQ plus rights. Sadly, she was assassinated on March 14, 2018, just at the age of 38.
In our painting, we have a portrait of Marielle that tells us about her story and how people defined her. For example, we have the words Black, woman, Brazilian, activist, and politician. These are some words that described her and her life.
Also words such as heroic, inspirational, and valiant, because these are the words that come to mind when we think of her. Thank you for choosing our painting as the winner of the Making Change contest. We put a lot of work into this and are proud to be recognized for our efforts.
It looks just beautiful. Thank you, Emma, Alana, and Caroline. Next up, we have our 9th through 10th grade group category. If our winners would please press the raise hand button at this time. The winners for this category are Ada Cossey and Kylie Hernandez, 9th graders from Claremont High School. Please tell us about your project.
Hi, and thank you for this opportunity. We chose to represent children's right to receiving an education through our artwork because we believe that all kids should have an equal chance to succeed.
It's important for everyone to obtain an education so we can all have the potential to live a fulfilling and rich life. Thank you again for this opportunity, and congratulations to everyone else who also won.
Thank you. It's beautiful. And congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our individual winners. In addition to receiving their certificates of recognition, our individual category winners will also receive a $100 check in the mail from the city and from the school district. Individual category winner for 3rd through 4th grade. First up, we have our winner from the 3rd and 4th grade category. If our winner would please press the raise hand button at this time. Our winner for this category is Parker Lynn. Parker is a 4th grader at Condit Elementary School in Mrs. Hassler's class. Parker, please present your project.
Dear Claremont City Council, my name is Parker Lynn and I am a 4th grader at Condit Elementary School. We all know that teachers work tirelessly to care for their students during distance learning. I see my teacher working really hard to make sure that my class learns everything we are supposed to. My mom is also a teacher and spends all day working on our class and grading. She even spends most of the weekend grading and making assignments. I enjoy helping my mom with her teacher tasks. Teachers are everyday heroes that are often taken for granted. They sacrifice themselves and time with their families to be the best for their students. I think it's hard enough going to school in the middle of a pandemic, but I can't imagine what it would be like to go to school in the 1960s during desegregation. One teacher in history who did something amazing was Barbara Henry. Mrs. Henry was a courageous teacher who wanted to integrate Louisiana schools in the 1960s. She was the teacher of Ruby Bridges, who was the first African American student to attend all-white elementary school. To attend an all-white elementary school. Mrs. Henry was the only teacher to volunteer to teach Ruby Bridges. In fact, Ruby Bridges was the only kid in her class. Once the parents of the other students found out that the class was integrated, they pulled their kids out for more than a year. Ruby Bridges was taught by Mrs. Henry, and they were both bullied for teaching and being an African American student in the all-white school. If Mrs. Henry had not volunteered to be Ruby Bridges' teacher, Ruby Bridges would not have been able to go to school, and history would not have been made. Therefore, in our community, which is full of teachers at Claremont preschools, public and private schools, and the colleges, we should honor Barbara Henry. She made an unselfish choice, which turned out to change history for the better. And she is just one example of teachers who positively impact their students. Sincerely, Parker Lynn.
Thank you, Parker. That was beautiful. Congratulations. Moving on to individual category winner, 5th through 6th grade. Next up, we have our winner from 5th and 6th grade category. This year, with 100 entries in that grade category, we had a tie between 2 students. If our first winner would please press the raise hand button at this time. That's Evan Gibbons. Our first winner for this category is Evan Gibbons. Evan is a 5th grader at Condit Elementary School in Mrs. Luber's class. Evan, would you please present your project?
Yes, my name is Evan Gibbons. I'm in 5th grade at Condit Elementary. My essay, title of my essay is Notorious RBG. Fight for the things that you care about, but do so in a way that will lead others to join you, said the great Joan Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a women's rights advocate. Joan Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a smart Jewish woman with dreams of equality and becoming a lawyer. Her life experiences led her to fight so that girls today would be treated as equal as the boys. It was not always easy for her, but she fought anyway and never gave up. Over her lifetime, she would become a small but powerful trailblazer of equal rights. Joan Ruth Bader Ginsburg was born on March 15th, 1933, my birthday, in Brooklyn, New York. She had an older sister named Marilyn. There were so many girls with the name Joan when she was growing up, she decided to go by Ruth instead. She loved going to school. She was left-handed and her teachers made her write with her right hand, so she did not have good handwriting. Still, she loved to read and write. Her favorite book was Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Just before she graduated high school, Ruth's mom died. Ruth knew her mom would want her to go to college, so she did. First, she went to Cornell University, where she learned about the Constitution and law. She also met her future husband, Marty Ginsburg, there. After they got married and she graduated, she was accepted into Harvard Law School. Ruth was one of 9 women in her class out of 500 men. She left Harvard, and eventually Ruth would graduate from Columbia University with a law degree. At the time when she got her law degree, boys and men had the freedom to do what they wanted with their lives, and girls and women were expected to become wives, mothers, nurses, and secretaries. Any other jobs were specifically for men and men only. If women did have the same jobs, they were paid less money. Ruth wanted to be a lawyer, but that was not a job most women had. It was hard for her to find a job because she was a woman. Finally, she did, and it sent her to Sweden. In Sweden, she learned that women and men were treated more equally there. She was inspired by this business trip to fight for women to have equal rights at home. Eventually, Ruth and the American Civil Liberties Union created the Women's Rights Project, which fought to give women equal rights. Later in her career, women would help women get equal pay for equal work. I admire Ruth Bader Ginsburg because as a girl, it is important that we are treated as equals to men. Ruth wasn't always treated fairly as a woman. Ruth was also Jewish and was not treated fairly because of this. She was a mom, a wife, and on top of school, she took care of her husband when she got sick. She even did his schoolwork for him, but she never gave up on her dream of becoming a lawyer. I also admire her because she was not afraid to speak her mind for what was right. Later in her career, Ruth Bader Ginsburg became known for her dissents, which means to disagree. She would often dissent when it included women's rights and laws that didn't think women should be treated fairly. It was not always easy for her to stand up for what was right, but she did, and that makes me feel proud because I am a girl and so was she. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an amazing person. She fought for women's equality and never gave up on her dreams or herself, even in the darkest of times for her. By standing up for what was right, Ruth Bader Ginsburg showed me not to be pushed down when things get tough and to keep fighting even if people disagree with you until things change. Girls should, can, and will look up to her as a strong leader and role model. Ruth Bader Ginsburg faced many challenges, but she persisted in following her dreams. She ended her career with the highest honor of Supreme Court Justice. She was only the second woman Supreme Court Justice ever. Her powerful words and willingness to stand up for what was right, even when it was not popular, earned her the nickname Notorious RBG. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan, and congratulations again. Next, we have our second winner in the 5th, 6th grade category. If our next winner would please press the raise hand button at this time. Our second winner in this category is William Jung. William is a 6th grader at Chaparral Elementary in Mr. Tunan's class. William, will you please present your project?
Dear City of Claremont, in a secluded village in South Africa, a little boy would always attend his father's meetings about equality and ending apartheid in South Africa. This little boy was Nelson Mandela. Every meeting left him even more aware of racial discrimination and inequality in his country. One day, he learned that white settlers came and started taking land and destroyed many villages. Therefore, African people had no voice in their own government, which made them feel unwanted and out of place in their own country. Due to the lack of basic human rights, such as freedom of speech and the right to vote, they were often treated harshly. The unjust laws and severe oppression fueled Nelson's passion for justice, and he had the tenacity to strive for freedom without violence or conflict. Nelson Mandela started the African National Congress Youth League to serve as a gateway for youth to help the African National Congress. In his youth, he wanted to help stop apartheid in South Africa, but he knew that he was powerless. Due to his strong passion, he wanted to give youth the tools to bring peace and equality to South Africa. He started many peaceful protests against the South African government, which caused him to end up in jail. Despite this situation, Nelson stayed calm throughout his 27-year sentence, and when he was released, he peacefully negotiated with State President F.W. de Klerk about his viewpoints on apartheid. F.W. de Klerk agreed and promised to help him with his journey to freedom. Due to this, Mandela was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for dealing with apartheid peacefully. He established peace across the country by ending apartheid once and for all, and he also convinced the South African government to give the people the right to vote. In efforts to continue his work, he started the Nelson Mandela Foundation to fight poverty while raising awareness of the HIV/AIDS crisis in South Africa. I still remember the hectic year of 2020. Coronavirus had arrived in America, and medical professionals and essential workers were tormented by the virus's relentless wrath. The 2020 presidential election was underway, which caused a great deal of stress and tension in America. Racism burst forth from many places, forcing people of color inside their homes, with the creeping suspicion that something terrible might happen to them. In August, in reaction to the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, individuals around the world marched in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. During these peaceful protests, many people of color and protesters were assaulted, manhandled, and even killed by the same people who were trained to keep us safe. Knowing that racism still exists so deeply in American society and many people still rely on violence is a reminder of why we need people like Nelson Mandela. Ultimately, what I admire about Nelson Mandela is the fact that he is very persistent in his goals, regardless of how difficult it is. His work reflected his leadership and ambition and has constantly lifted and supported others in the hardest of times. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice all for the freedom of their people, Mandela said. He told others to be the hero of their story. He took the risk and managed to convince F.W. de Klerk to help him end apartheid. This was a great risk because Mandela could have spent the rest of his life in prison if the president disagreed. This resulted in him saying, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." I also admire his strong belief in anti-racism. It is terrible how people treat other people because of their skin color. Knowing that other people are fighting to end this is just like a beacon of light shining brightly in the dark night. Mandela's determination and courage are immeasurable. Many thanks to CUSD, the Claremont mayor, and all of those who support the educational system, equality for all students, and the encouragement to be our best selves. I'll end with a quote by Mandela. "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Best wishes, William Jung."
Thank you, William, and congratulations again. You're an incredible writer. Next up, we have our winners from the seventh. We have our winner from the 7th and 8th grade category. Our winner for this category is Jazzy Lynn. Jazzy is an 8th grader at El Roble Intermediate in Mrs. Hartenstein's class. Jazzy's project is a multimedia presentation, and staff will now share Jazzy's project with us.
2020 was a historic year. Schools were shut down in March, and an out-of-control virus has kept us in our homes and masked in public for the foreseeable future. In November, there was an election that divided our nation and kept many people up at night, anxious for what the outcome would be. When the votes had been counted, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were announced victorious. Vice President Harris made history by becoming the trifecta of the first female, first African American, and first Asian American Vice President of the United States. She has been breaking down barriers and crashing through glass ceilings her whole life. She is the daughter of 2 immigrants who grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood in Berkeley. When she began kindergarten, she was bused to Thousand Oaks as part of a desegregation program. When interviewed, she recalls being treated differently because she is part black, and other kids were not allowed to play with her. She is an inspiration to many for her numerous awards and achievements. She shows little girls everywhere that, in the words of the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg, women belong in all places where decisions are being made. She also shows us that we can push boundaries the way that she did, and that we can achieve great things with class and grace. My name is Jazzy. I'm 14 and in 8th grade at El Roble Intermediate School. Vice President Kamala Harris is inspirational because she has achieved a female first in a male-dominant field. She inspires me because I am currently in my 9th year of Girl Scouts and on my way to earning my Gold Award, which is the highest award for a Girl Scout. Recently, I joined Scouts BSA, formerly known as Boy Scouts of America, and I have started my journey to my Eagle Scout Award. It is my goal to be one of the first girls to earn the highest ranks in both Girl Scouts and Scouts BSA. Vice President Kamala Harris also inspires me because as a mixed Asian American girl, there are not very many public figures that look like me. There are not a whole lot of Asian Americans in the shows I watch, books I read, and even the authority figures I see in my everyday life. To have someone who looks like me as Vice President of the United States makes me feel like I can achieve anything I set my mind to.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Jazzy. Representation is so important, and you've illustrated that beautifully. Congratulations. Oh. Next up, we have our winner from 9th and 10th grade, from the 9th and 10th grade category. If our winner would please press the raise hand button at this time. Our winner for this category is Maya Rodriguez. Maya is a 9th grader at Claremont High School in Mr. Glavin's class. Maya, please share some thoughts on your project with us.
Hi, my name is Maya Rodriguez, and this is my piece on making a change called The Power in Numbers. In American history, one of the most well-known occasions where people pursued revolutionary change is the Civil Rights Movement. Undoubtedly, the goal of this movement was not achieved by the work of a single individual. The Civil Rights Movement is a prime example of how making a difference takes a collaborative effort rather than just one person. First and foremost, the Civil Rights Movement happened during a time where Black people were seen as inferior. According to the Civil Rights Movement, Timeline, Key Events, and Leaders, the Civil War had officially abolished slavery, but it didn't end discrimination against Black people. They continued to endure the devastating effects of racism, especially in the South. In other words, people of color weren't treated with respect. During the Civil Rights Movement, Black people strove to gain a basic human right, equality. On that account, how could a single person fight for the rights of an entire community that seemed as bottommost? Such a significant change would call for the joint effort of many people. In addition, today's society works around majority rule. As stated in majority rule, at various times in our history, lack of minority representation in government has allowed majority to abuse minority rights. Here, the author suggests that the needs of the minority tend to be overlooked when the majority abuses their power. This is what happened when the predominantly white government confined the rights of the Black minority. To create a nationwide change, such as gaining equal rights for people of color, a near majority would need to stand behind this movement. For that reason, it would take far more than just one person to make a difference. On the other hand, people might say that one person can make a difference. They just need to be a very strong, powerful leader. That being said, take a look at Martin Luther King Jr. He is seen as a leader of the civil rights movement, but change was not created until countless people banded together and fought for the cause. In the article, Milestones of Civil Rights Movement, it states, on August 28, 1963, 250,000 Black and white people, more than twice as many as expected, marched to the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., in a show of unity, racial harmony, and support of the Civil Rights Bill. This proves that it takes more than one person to make a difference because the power in numbers is what brought the Black community equality. In conclusion, a single person cannot make a difference. An individual can be a leader and have a great impact on the world. However, substantial change won't happen until many people join forces and fight for the cause. This is most evident when it comes to political issues and racial injustice, such as the Civil Rights Movement. After all, unity is how people of color got their rights.
Thank you, Maya. We have so many powerful writers. Thank you so much. And congratulations again. Next up, we have our winner from the 11th and 12th grade category. If our winner would please press the raise hand button at this time. Our winner for this category is Sophie Rivas Plata. Sophie is an 11th grader at Claremont High School. Sophie, please present your project to us.
Each year, buds blossom into roses. The stock market fluctuates and the 80s make a comeback. Young girls grow into their own as women. Change is as innate to our existence as gravity. Our world is a dynamic place, never at a standstill, always changing and continuously moving. It is our responsibility to guide this change forward in a positive manner. In a world where fundamental human rights have been and still are politicized, we must deeply examine how we can most effectively advocate for human rights. How can we begin to spark a change in the direction that we believe is just? There have been countless movements throughout history that have advocated for human rights and social change. Within the past 100 years, we have become familiar with the movements regarding widespread women's suffrage, desegregation, LGBTQ+ liberation, and fair labor standards, to name a few. The power of these movements is derived from the individuals contributing to the fight. Millions of individuals had collectively decided that they have had enough of their oppression, mistreatment, and discrimination. In order for these movements to occur, a passionate anger had to form. People did not only seek for solutions, but they demanded them. People were being demanded to make a radical change and to fight for what is right. Social change must be evoked when discrimination escalates to the point that a single moment of existence within the status quo translates to an unequivocal loss of humanity. There is a lethal nature to bigotry. Tragic stories such as George Floyd's, Breonna Taylor's, and Stephen Clark's and Ahmaud Arbery's all serve as testimonies to this fact. Racism and discrimination are being perpetuated, and the American justice system is targeting and seeing to the mass incarceration of Black people. Transgender women and other LGBTQ+ individuals face hate crimes simply for existing. These are just a few examples that can be observed in the United States alone. The governments of Syria, Iraq, and Myanmar are all currently genociding religious minorities. Belarus's government is currently torturing protesters. Protesters in Ecuador, Colombia, Chile, and Haiti and Bolivia face similar police brutality to what can be cited in the United States. These are all dramatically pressing issues. There is a passionate anger that precedes the forming of social change. Social change requires an urgency that resonates with individuals of all races, ages, and life experiences. Radical change must occur in order to change the direction in which we are heading.
Of course, there is no easy answer to how we can better focus on upholding human rights. There is no magical and flawless explanation. Any one solution would be a masterpiece of oversimplification towards an issue that knows no bounds. The relationship between ourselves and our greater society is diverse and complex. We may not have the ability to lead a revolution single-handedly, but every single individual holds a vast power within their voice. The more time we delegate to educate ourselves on world affairs that we may have been blind to otherwise, the more we converse with others and share our ideas, the more welcoming the greater society will become. This will lead to a more empathetic group of people existing to amplify the urgency of these issues. Each individual who fights for human rights must fight alongside each other to help create a change that marginalized groups so desperately deserve. The only way to search for solutions to complicated systemic flaws is by collaborating and standing against oppressors as a united front.
Thank you, Sophie. And congratulations again. That was beautiful. Wow. I mean, these are our young people, folks. We are so proud of you. Thank you so, so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our award ceremony. Please join me in giving a vigorous round of applause for our winners, judges, and everyone who assisted with making this event possible. And I'd like to add everybody who also contributed, and I say not just to the winners, but to everybody who participated in this incredible event. Thank you. I'm humbled and I'm inspired. Thank you so, so much.